Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim, distinguished guests, speakers, and worthy participants. Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to you. We will commence the proceedings of this seminar with the recitation from the Holy Quran. Sadaqallah Azim. I'm Hamad Irfan. On behalf of Islamabad Policy Institute, it is a matter of great pleasure and privilege for IPI to hold this seminar. This seminar aims to provide a comprehensive understanding of the Middle East current geopolitical landscape. I welcome all the worthy excellencies, eminent speakers, participants, and our distinguished keynote speakers to this seminar. We are privileged to have with us the participation of the distinguished dignitaries from Arab countries, from think tanks, former chairman of Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs and Defense, and chairperson Pak China Institute, Syed Mushahid Hussain, and former Federal Minister Shireen Mazari. The ongoing Israeli aggression in Gaza has become the deadliest chapter in the Israel-Palestinian conflict. With the expansion of Israel's military operations into Lebanon and Syria, the region teeters on the edge of a broader confrontation. These Israeli campaigns are having profound and multifaceted impacts influencing diplomatic relations, the humanitarian situation, and the overall security landscape in the region. In this backdrop, we hope to have a useful deliberation on the issue. I wish the participants a fruitful session of discussion. Dr. Mazari will chair and moderate the first session.
Thank you. I know some of the speakers are in a hurry, so I would first request Dr. Ramiz Al Rai, the ambassador of Syria, to please take the floor and give his views, and then we'll continue from there because I know that you have to leave quickly.
Thank you very
So,
much. Thank you very much for the invitation. Of course, today I have many other meetings, but I am very interested just for me to come to this conference and discuss many things. I just wanted to share with you some information, some details about what happened now in Gaza, in Lebanon, and neighbors country, and about the genocide, which is unfortunately committed by Israel. Thanks for all excellencies, for ambassadors and the organizers. Thank you very much again for your kind invitation, and it's my pleasure to be here with you now. I want to just share some information with you. Ladies and gentlemen, respected excellencies, our friends, our colleague, Mr. Shahid Hussain, and our brothers here, this hall, and Your Excellency, who is organized by Mrs.
Dr.
Mazari.
Shireen.
Today, I would like to highlight Israeli aggression actions ever since its inception towards Palestinian, Syria, and other religion countries. Syria has fought several wars against Israel in 1948, 1967, and 1973, and others in Lebanon and up to now. And Israeli continued unlawful aggression and violation of the Syrian territory. In fact, Israel doesn't respect any United Nations resolutions or international law, mainly because of American support and silence of the Western countries and international communities. Israel continue the human rights violations. This support has supported Israel to continue its original hostilities and genocide of Palestinian people, which threaten regional stability and international peace. Since 1967, Israel has illegally occupied a part of Syrian Golan. So just like any other country of the world, Syria has a right to use all available means according to the United Nations and international law to liberate its land and people, including diplomatic and military defense, besides continuously facing and replying to Israel continue terrorism and aggression against Syria territory. I retire Syria's stance on the Palestinian issue and regional peace, emphasizing solidarity with the Palestinian people and condemning Israel's recent military conflicts, which have resulted in executed civilian victims, which have resulted and infrastructure damage in Gaza and in West Bank and in Lebanon, and aggression against Syria, aggression against Iran. I point to Syria's right to reclaim the occupied Golan Heights and condemn the Western sanctions against Syria, which contribute to the ongoing humanitarian challenge, not only in Syria, but also in all the regional countries. At the end, I reflect Syria's broader call to international community to respect the human rights of nations and their territories and force Israel to stop its aggression, continuous human rights violations in Palestinian territory and in Lebanon, in Syria and other neighbors countries, Lebanon, Iran, Iraq, and others, advocating for an end to Western peg Israel action to protect regional peace and security. Assalamu alaikum. This is just only short message about what happened now. And of course, the government of Syria, of course, consider all these actions, it's aggression and it is genocide against the Palestinian people, against the Syrian people, against the Lebanon people, and we will stay, work together, and we need the support of our brothers here in Pakistan and in another Muslim countries and all the Arabic countries, just only to stop this genocide as soon as possible and for ceasefire as soon as possible, because unfortunately, as I mentioned, this what happened now from 1948 until now, it is more than 76 years. They just only kill the innocent people. Look now what happened in all the area, especially from the 7th of October last year. What they did, they put some goals and what we want to do for Hamas and others and for Hezbollah in Lebanon and so for Syria, for Iran, but they didn't achieve any results about that. Just only they thinking in their memory, in their plate that if we kill the innocent people, the civilians victims, we can get the victory. Nothing up till now they did it. Just only they destroyed Gaza and they try now to make the same in the south of Lebanon and threaten all the religion, peace and security. And this is of course written not only in the regional area but also for the international peace and security. And unfortunately, what we see, unlimited support from US and Western countries. And from the first time after the what happened in 7th of October, all of us see by the media the support, unlimited support from the United States and from the Western countries, and the visit from the President of America and others, President of France and the Prime Minister of United Kingdom to Israel, and which kind of support they give them. For that, we should be one hand, we should be support others, just only to stop this genocide which happened in our area against the Palestinian people, against the Lebanon people, and stop aggression against Syria, against Iraq, against Iran. And this is need to be one hand to force Israel, Zionist entity, to stop all these crimes, not against the Arabic countries. This is crimes against the international law, and it's crimes against United Nations. We hope more support about that, and we are trust about our victory. Inshallah, it will be soon as possible. And again, I want to tell you thanks for your invitation. Thanks for the stance and position for the government of Pakistan and for the humanitarian aid they sent it to our brothers in Palestine, and about the political stance. And it's not strange about our brothers here in Pakistan, because Pakistan has very important and historical and strong relations with Syria, with Muslim countries, with Arabic countries. And this is, of course, we trust about their support for us. Thanks again. And I hope, inshallah, more relations and more cooperation, more coordination between my country and our brothers here in Pakistan and all the Muslim countries with Pakistan. And inshallah, we will try to do our best by support from our friends to liberate our lands and to stop these violations against the international law and against the United Nations, against the civilians people, civilians victims. Thank you again for this invitation, and I hope all the best for you. Thanks again for your invitation, me to participate in this important conference. Wassalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Excellency. Now I would like to call His Excellency Raza Amiri Moghadam, the Ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran, another country which is now suffering directly because of its position against Israel's genocide again on the Palestinians. So, Excellency.
الرحمن الرحیم و به نستعین. حضار محترم، عالی جنابان، اندیشمندان گرامی، خانم ها و آقایون، السلام علیکم. در آغاز از مسئولین محترم مؤسسه سیاستگذاری اسلام آباد برای سازماندهی این نشست و فرصت سخنرانی به این جانب تشکر می‌کنم. عنوان نشست به تجاوز رژیم اسرائیل به فلسطین و کشورهای منطقه و آیا منطقه با یک نظم جدید روبروست عنوان خوبی است و تلاش می‌کنم در حوصله این جلسه نکاتی را به استحضار برسانم.
Honorable guests, excellencies, dear audience, ladies and gentlemen,
Assalamu alaikum. I would like to express my gratitude to the honorable officials of the Islamabad Policy Institute for organizing this seminar and inviting me. The title of this seminar is Israel Genocide in Palestine and Regional Aggression, the World Order at Crossroads. It's a good subject and I will try to share some insights.
پیشفرض من این است که همه حضار محترم از روند تشکیل رژیم صهیونیستی مطلع‌اند و از سال 1948 یعنی تشکیل این رژیم تا کنون روند جرم و جنایت‌ها اعم از اشغال سرزمین، کوچ اجباری، کشتار دست جمعی، حبس به جرم فلسطینی بودن، ترور رهبران و شهرک‌سازی در مناطق گوناگون این سرزمین را مطالعه کرده‌اید. همچنین روند مبارزات فلسطینی‌ها اعم از گروه‌های ملی، مارکسیست، کشورهای عربی تا تشکیل سازمان آزادی بخش فلسطین را می‌دانید. واقعیت این است که همه اینها دوره‌ای به مبارزه برخاستند، دستاوردهایی داشتند و یکی پس از دیگری از صحنه کنار رفتند و گروه دیگری مبارزه را شروع کرده است.
I assume that everyone here is familiar with the history of the formation of Zionist regime, and then since its inception in 1948, you are aware of the crimes committed by this regime, including occupation, forced displacement, mass killings, imprisonment simply for being Palestinian, assassination of leaders, and settlement construction in various parts of this land. You are also familiar with the Palestinian resistance efforts from nationalists and Marxist groups to the establishment of Palestinian Liberation Organization (PLO). These groups have made notable contributions in their times, although they have eventually faded, with new groups emerging to continue the struggle.
همه این مبارزات قابل احترام است، ولی تاریخ گواهی می‌دهد که هیچ یک از این گروه‌ها و مبارزات آنها نتوانست روند تجاوز و اشغالگری این رژیم را متوقف کند و باز لازم می‌دانم تاکید کنم که اسلامگرایان جز مقطعی در ابتدای اشغال این سرزمین که توسط شهید عزالدین قسام گردان‌هایی تشکیل شد و در کنار مردم فلسطین مبارزاتی انجام داد، در صحنه این مبارزه حضور نداشتند تا اینکه با پیروزی انقلاب اسلامی گروهی از جوانان مسلمان در سال 1981 سازمان جهاد اسلامی فلسطین را تشکیل دادند و مبارزه را با نام اسلام به دست گرفتند و در سال 1986 اولین انتفاضه فلسطین را برپا کردند و 6 روز بعد از شروع این انتفاضه حماس اعلام موجودیت کرد و هر دو گروه با کمک مردم روند مبارزه را تغییر دادند.
While each of these struggles deserves due respect, history shows that none have managed to halt the regime's aggression and occupation. I must emphasize that, except for a brief period at the beginning of the occupation led by Martyrs al-Qassam, Islamists did not participate in this struggle until after the Islamic Revolution, when a group of young Muslims established the Palestinian Islamic Jihad in 1981. They initiated an Islamic-led resistance, and in 1986, the first Intifada broke out. 6 days after beginning of Intifada, Hamas was founded, and both groups, with popular support, ordered the course of resistance.
شکست‌های پیاپی به این رژیم تحمیل کردند. اسرائیل و حامیان غربیش که تاکنون با چنین قیامی روبرو نشده بودند دست به کار شدند تا با روند سیاسی این جریان اصیل را منحرف کنند و ایده مذاکره با سازمان آزادی بخش فلسطین شروع شد و نهایتاً در سال 1993 دولت خودگردان فلسطین را تشکیل دادند و مرحوم عرفات از تبعیدگاه تونس وارد رام الله شد تا دولت فلسطین را بنیانگذاری کند. این کار به ظاهر انجام گرفت، ولی رژیم صهیونیستی برخلاف تعهدات خود انواع و اقسام تضییقات را بر این دولت نوپا وارد کرد تا جایی که بعد از 7 سال انتفاضه دوم موسوم به انتفاضه الاقصی شروع شد و در نهایت مرحوم عرفات را مسموم کردند. هرچند این دولت هنوز به ظاهر وجود دارد، ولی اگر به نقشه کرانه غربی رود اردن نگاه کنید، میزان توسعه شهرک‌های صهیونیستی قبل و بعد از دولت خودگردان را که مقایسه کنید، ملاحظه خواهید کرد که روند شهرک‌سازی بعد از تشکیل دولت فلسطین به شدت رو به افزایش بوده است.
These groups inflicted successive defeats on this regime. Israel and its Western supporters, unaccustomed to such an uprising, sought to deflect the momentum of this movement by introducing political and negotiations with the PLO, eventually leading to the creation of Palestinian Authority in 1993. Late Yasser Arafat returned from commission exile to Ramallah to establish the Palestinian movement. However, despite its formal creation, the Zionist regime imposed nebulous restrictions, leading to the outbreak of Al-Aqsa Intifada 7 years later. Ultimately, Arafat was poisoned to death. Although the Palestinian Authority still exists nominally, if you look at the map of the West Bank and compare to the extent of settlement expansion before and after the authority's formation, you will see that settlement construction has significantly increased.
برداشت من به عنوان کارشناس این حوزه این است که استراتژی غرب و صهیونیست از سال 1948 مبنی بر تشکیل دولت صهیونیستی در تمام سرزمین‌های مورد ادعا تاکنون تغییری نکرده است، ولی تاکتیک آنها به مقتضای شرایط قابل تغییر بوده و هست. لذا از نظر تاکتیکی می‌خواستند روند تشکیل رژیم صهیونیستی را با حفظ یک دولت ضعیف و اشغال این سرزمین تحت پوشش شهرک‌سازی تکمیل کنند. دلیل این ادعا این است که هیچگاه پرچم رژیم صهیونیستی که قلمرو خود را از نیل تا فرات ترسیم کرده بعد از تشکیل دولت خودگردان فلسطین تغییر نکرد. هیچگاه روند چاپ نقشه‌های رژیم صهیونیستی شامل کل سرزمین فلسطین اشغالی، تمام لبنان، تمام اردن، صحرای سینا، بخش‌های مهمی از سوریه و عراق و عربستان سعودی توسط این رژیم متوقف نشده است. و همکنون اگر به لباس سربازان این رژیم نگاه کنید، روی بازوی اونها این نقشه دیده می شود. هیچگاه روند فشارهای همه جانبه با هدف ترک سرزمین آبا و اجدادی فلسطینیان متوقف نشد و از همه مهمتر روند شهرک‌سازی روز به روز ابعاد وسیع‌تری می‌یافت. همزمان فلسطینی‌ها را از یک سو سرزنش می‌کرد، مقاومت را مانع اصلی روند صلح اعلام می‌کردند و از سیاست تفرقه بی‌انداز و حکومت کن استفاده می‌کردند.
As an expert in this field, my assessment is that Western and Zionist strategy since 1948 to establish a Zionist state across all claimed territories has not changed, though their tactics change according to the circumstances. They have used tactics to complete this process through the settlement expansion while maintaining a weak Palestinian state. Evidence of this can be seen in the flag of Israel showing its territory spreading from the Nile to Euphrates, and the continued publication of maps showing Greater Israel.
سوال این است که
all the historical Palestinian, Lebanon, Jordan, Sinai, and parts of Syria, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. The relentless push for Palestinians to leave their ancestral land and expansion of settlements has continued unabated. On the other hand, Palestinians are simultaneously blamed for the weakness of the Palestinian Authority and accused of hindering peace through resistance groups, and the policy of divide and rule by undermining unity has been applied.
سوال این است که فلسطینی‌ها چه کار باید برای تشکیل دولت می‌کردند و نکردند؟ آیا یاسر عرفات جان خود را در این راه از دست نداد؟ آیا حماس به عنوان قوی‌ترین گروه مقاومتی در سال 2006 در انتخابات شرکت نکرد؟ آیا بعد از پیروزی در انتخابات با نخست وزیری شهید اسماعیل هنیه دولت تشکیل نداد؟ آیا در طول دوره کوتاه این دولت رژیم اسرائیل چندین جنگ را بر این دولت نوپا تحمیل نکرد؟ ترجیح غرب و رژیم اسرائیل اجرای استراتژی فوق با کمترین هزینه و ژست دموکراتیک و صلح‌طلبانه بود. از این رو در دولت ماقبل دولت کنونی آمریکا با اجرای معامله غرب و صلح ابراهیم از دید خودشون بهترین تاکتیک را برای استراتژی مزبور آغاز کردند و تعدادی از کشورهای عرب منطقه را به عادی سازی روابط با رژیم وادار کردند و امیدوار بودند با تکمیل این روند دولت واحد صهیونیستی را در کل این سرزمین تشکیل دهند و رسما و علنا رئیس جمهور وقت آمریکا این سیاست را اعلام کرد و با انتقال سفارت خود از تل آویو به بیت المقدس اجرای آن را شروع کرد.
The question is, what more could the Palestinians have done to form a state? Did Arafat now sacrifice his life for this cause? Did Hamas, the strongest resistance group, not participate in the 2006 elections? Did they not form a government under Prime Minister Ismail Haniyeh? Yes, Israel imposed multiple wars on this nascent government. The preference of the West and Israel has been to execute their strategy with minimal cost while posing as democratic and peace-loving. Thus, with the deal of the century and the Abraham Accords, they encouraged normalization of relations between Israel and several other countries, hoping this would pave the way for a united Zionist state. This approach was even endorsed by the former American president, who started by relocating the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
در چنین شرایطی در 7 اکتبر 2023 فلسطینی‌ها جان به لب رسیده عملیات طوفان الاقصی را اجرا کردند. این اقدام در مقایسه با حجم جرم و جنایت اعمال شده در 76 سال علیه فلسطین بسیار اندک بود، ولی برای غرب و رژیم یک ضد استراتژی بسیار قوی بود و آنها را وادار کرد که تاکتیک لبخند و سرکوب نرم را کنار بگذارند و برخورد سخت نظامی را به عنوان تاکتیک اجرای راهبرد خود برگزیدند. بلافاصله همه چیز را پای کار آوردند. شما ملاحظه کردید از همون فردای طوفان الاقصی رهبران آمریکا و اروپا خود را به تلاویو رساندند تا به این رژیم که با طوفان الاقصی تعادل خود را از دست داده بود تنفس مصنوعی بدهند و از آن روز تا کنون با ایجاد پل هوایی بین غرب و اسرائیل انواع و اقسام سلاح و تجهیزات را در اختیار این رژیم قرار دادند تا بزرگترین نسل‌کشی تاریخ را علیه فلسطین و لبنان اعمال کنند.
In this context, on October 7, 2023, the Palestinians pushed to the edge, launched the Al-Aqsa Flood operation, though modest compared to the long history of atrocities against them. It was a powerful counter-strategy that forced Israel and the West to abandon their soft tactics and adopt overt military aggression. Immediately, Western leaders flocked to Tel Aviv to support Israel, which had lost its balance by Al-Aqsa operation. Since that, they have established an air bridge to provide Israel with a range of weapons and equipment to carry out unprecedented acts of violence and genocide against people of Palestine and Lebanon.
سازمان ملل، شورای امنیت و تمام مجامع زینتی حقوق بشری را وادار کردند که در راستای این سیاست حرکت کنند و جهان مشاهده کرد که سازمان ملل نه تنها نتوانست یک قطعنامه غیر الزام آور برای آتش‌بس تصویب کند، بلکه نماینده رژیم در صحن علنی سازمان ملل منشور ملل متحد را پاره کرد. برخلاف همه مقررات بین المللی ورود هر گونه کمک بشردوستانه را ممنوع کرد. تمام قواعد و مقررات جنگ را نادیده گرفت و در فلسطین و لبنان جایی حتی بیمارستان، مدرسه، آمبولانس، حامل مجروح و غیره در امان نماند. نخست وزیر این رژیم دبیر کل سازمان ملل را عنصر نامطلوب اعلام کرد و با ممنوع کردن فعالیت آنروا و حمله به نیروهای یونیفیل در جنوب لبنان نشان داد که این فرزند لوس استکبار می تواند تمام قواعد و مقررات وضع شده توسط کشورهای پیروز جنگ جهانی دوم را نادیده بگیرد تا اهداف و استراتژی مشترک را نهایی کنند.
The United Nations, the Security Council and human rights organizations were mobilized to align with this policy. The world witnessed how the UN, far from passing even a non-binding resolution for a ceasefire, saw the Israeli representative tearing up the UN Charter. They ignored humanitarian rules, banning humanitarian aid and violating all principles of international law, targeting hospitals, schools, and ambulances in Palestine and Lebanon. Israel's Prime Minister even declared the UN Secretary General persona non grata, banned UNRWA staff, and attacked UNIFIL in southern Lebanon, demonstrating that this favored regime would defy the regulation established by World War II victorious countries to achieve its goals.
در این میان کشور من که همواره حامی مظلوم و مخالف ستمگران بوده حمایت خود را از ملت مظلوم فلسطین اعلام کرد و این رژیم در واکنش به این حمایت در اقدامی سخیف اسماعیل هنیه را که مهمان جمهوری اسلامی ایران بود ترور کرد. واکنش به این جنایت حق مشروع جمهوری اسلامی ایران بود، ولی با درخواست برخی کشورها که برای آتش‌بس فعالیت می‌کردند این واکنش به تأخیر افتاد تا شاید به آتش‌بس قدری از آلام این ملت کاهش یابد. ولی بعد از بی‌نتیجه بودن آن تلاش‌ها کشورم بر اساس ماده 51 منشور ملل متحد عملیاتی علیه این رژیم انجام داد و این کنش و واکنش بین ایران و رژیم به صورت پینگ پونگی ادامه یافت. اکنون جمهوری اسلامی ایران خود را محق می‌داند که در دفاع مشروع در زمان مناسب آخرین تجاوز هوایی به کشورمون را پاسخ دهد.
My country, always a defender of the oppressed, declared its support for the Palestinian people. In response, Israel brazenly targeted Ismail Haniyeh, who was visiting the Islamic Republic of Iran. Though Iran had the legitimate right to respond immediately, we delayed action on the request of the other countries working for a ceasefire, hoping it would ease some of the Palestinian suffering. But when these efforts proved fruitless, Iran, under Article 51 of the UN Charter, took action leading to a series of reciprocal moves with Israel. Iran now reserves the right to respond appropriately to the last Israeli airstrike.
لازم می‌دانم به این نکته اشاره کنم که صهیونیسم بین‌الملل صرف نظر از ماهیت و نگرش کشورهای اسلامی مسلمانان را به عنوان مسلمان هدف قرار داده است، نه به عنوان یک دولت. جمهوری اسلامی ایران عمیقاً معتقد است که راه حل این مشکل و سایر مشکلات دیگر امت اسلامی در وحدت و یکپارچگی واقعی در جهان اسلام نهفته است. در این راستا پس از تجاوز اخیر رژیم صهیونیستی به قلمرو ایران، دستگاه دیپلماسی کشور من طی چند هفته گذشته با شکل دهی یک کمپین دیپلماتیک از طیف گسترده‌ای از کشورهای همسایه بازدید کرد. برآیند این ابتکار عمل محکومیت گسترده تجاوز رژیم اسرائیل علیه ایران از سوی کشورهای مختلف اسلامی بود. حرکت پویای شکل گرفته چشمانداز مثبتی از اجماع سازی و وحدت، صلح سازی و اعتماد سازی در جهان اسلام را نوید می‌دهد.
It's important to highlight that regardless of any nation's stance and nature, global Zionism targets Muslims simply because they are Muslims, not due to the state affiliations. Iran believes that the solution to this issue lies in the unity of the Islamic world. Following the recent Israeli aggression on the Iranian territory, Iran's diplomatic corps launched a campaign by visiting most of the neighboring countries, and outcome of this visit was the broad condemnation from neighboring Islamic countries against Israeli aggression. This active movement presents a promising future of unity, peace building, and mutual trust with the Islamic world.
در مورد بخش دوم این نشست، یعنی آیا با این جنگ نظم جدیدی قرار است در منطقه و جهان ایجاد شود، با وجود اینکه هنوز خیلی برای قضاوت در این مورد زود است، اما من به چند نشانه و پیامد احتمالی اشاره می‌کنم.
Regarding the second part of the seminar's topic, the world order at a crossroads. While it's early to make judgments, I would like to point out some initial indications and possible outcomes.
اول همه دنیا شنیدند که نخست وزیر خونخوار رژیم در هنگام تهاجم به لبنان و شهادت سید حسن نصرالله اعلام کرد این آغاز نظم جدید جهانی است. در واقع رونمایی آشکار از استراتژی مشترک غرب و رژیم و به کارگیری تاکتیک نسل‌کشی برای وصول به نتیجه اولین پیامد این جنگ است.
First, the declaration by Israel's bloodthirsty Prime Minister during his attack on Lebanon and the martyrdom of Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah that this is the beginning of a new world order. This reveals the open nexus between Israel and the West, using genocide tactics as part of their strategy.
دوم، عدم کارایی نظم سابق، یعنی روشن شدن ناتوانی سازمان ملل، شورای امنیت، مجامع حقوق بشری و حتی آژانس‌های کمک رسانی نظیر صلیب سرخ است. در این جنگ قدرتمندان به شکل سریع اعلام کردند این ابزارها فقط در خدمت کشورهای پیروز در جنگ جهانی دوم است و آن هم فقط برای کسانی که در جبهه غرب قرار دارند.
Second, the failure of the previous order, showing the United Nations Security Council and human rights bodies and even humanitarian aid agencies like Red Cross as incapable of impartial action. In
سوم
this war, the powerful countries have clearly shown that these instruments are just serving only to the victorious countries of the World War II and just to those aligned with Western powers.
سوم پیامد دیگر این جنگ این است که دو عضو شورای امنیت غیرغربی این شورا یعنی چین و روسیه نیز نمیتوانند از مزایای حداقلی آن کما فی السابق بهره مند شوند.
Third, the conflict has made it clear that even non-Western Security Council members such as China and Russia face limitations within the current global structure.
چهارمین پیامد این جنگ پیامی شفاف برای جهان اسلام و به ویژه جهان عرب است. اینکه آیا استراتژی تردید ناپذیر مشترک غرب و اسرائیل را با اجرای تاکتیک خشونتبار آن میپذیرند یا مثل سید حسن نصرالله و سنوار رهبرانتان ترور و ملتتان با نسل‌کشی مواجه خواهد شد. از دید من با وجود همه قدرت‌های مادی غرب و رژیم صهیونیستی این جدال و جنگ که جنگ بین حق و باطل و جنگ بین اشغالگر و اشغال شده بین ظالم و مظلوم است در این منطقه ادامه خواهد یافت و روزی سنوار و سید حسن دیگری در این رویارویی ظهور می‌کنند و با عملیات 33 روزه دیگری و طوفان الاقصی دیگری صحنه را به نفع فلسطین مظلوم تغییر خواهند داد، زیرا وعده الهی تغییر ناپذیر است که می‌فرماید ان تنصروا الله ینصرکم ان یثبت اقدامکم.
Both the message is emerging for the Islamic world, particularly the Arab nations. Despite the material power of the West and Israel, I believe that this struggle, one of right versus wrong, will continue. And one day, another Sinwar and another Hassan Nasrullah will emerge in this confrontation, carrying out another 33-day operation and another Al-Aqsa Storm operation, shifting the scene in the favor of the oppressed Palestinians. As God promises in the Quran, if you help Allah, He will help you and make your feet firm.
در پایان اجازه می‌خواهم از دولت و ملت پاکستان که در نسل‌کشی غزه با ابراز احساسات خود در کنار ملت مظلوم فلسطین قرار داشتند صمیمانه تشکر کنم. همچنین از مواضع قوی و قاطع پاکستان در محکومیت تجاوز غیر رژیم اسرائیل به خاک ایران قدردانی می‌کنم. پاکستان یکی از معدود کشورهایی است که با مواضع شجاعانه به وظیفه انسانی، اخلاقی و دینی خود عمل کرده است. السلام علیکم و رحمت الله و برکاته.
Finally, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the government and people of Pakistan for their solidarity with the oppressed people of Gaza. I also appreciate Pakistan's firm stance in condemning Israel's recent aggression on Iranian soil. Pakistan has shown courage in fulfilling its moral, ethical, and religious duty.
از حسن توجه همه شما تشکر.
Thank you for your kind patience.
Thank you, Excellency. Now we're going to connect, I think, Bakr, are we ready to connect? To call Allama Rajan Vasa, who's head of the Majlis-e-Wahdat al-Muslimin, to speak and give his views. I think he's in Lahore. So, can we connect to him, please? Is anyone connected to Lama sir? He's not connected now. No, he's not online. Then we'll request our keynote speaker, Syed Mushahid Hussain, to give his views. He has been a strong advocate for the Palestinian cause and a very strong critic of the rogue entity Israel. And Mushahid, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's a great pleasure to be speaking on this important seminar. Your Excellency, the Ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Ambassador of the Syrian Arab Republic, and Your Excellency, the former Foreign Secretary Sohail Mahmood Saab, Director General Institute of Strategic Studies, Khalid Rahman Saab, Director General of the Institute of Policy Studies, Zamir Akram Sahib, and other friends. And of course, the illustrious chair. I think I'm glad that you're not a state guest anymore because she had been arrested for a while, but she's now, mashallah, azad. And thank you for organizing this very timely seminar. And we are having this seminar at a time when there is a lot of turbulence, a lot of transformation in the world. And one of the core issues in the world today is the ongoing Gaza genocide perpetrated by the Israeli regime with the active connivance, with the active complicity of most of the Western world, especially the United States of America and parts of Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk of the world order, I think the world order is seeing certain major changes, major transformation. I remember reading recently the cover story in The Economist magazine, which is published from London. And The Economist had a story about the world order, a cover story. I think it came in the summer. And I quote from that cover story. They said that the Western-led liberal international order, which came into being after World War II, is now coming apart. This is what The Economist has said. And one example of that is the election 2 days ago of Donald Trump as the President of the United States of America, because Trump is the first American president after John F. Kennedy in the last 60 years who does not represent the American security establishment and the American deep state. In fact, they tried to resist, they tried to arrest him, they tried to block him. There were 2 assassination attempts also. And he therefore does not follow the script or the playbook of the Washington establishment on a number of issues. He has refused to criticize Putin, for example. He has said Kim Jong-un, who is the head of the axis of evil, he is my friend. And he even talked of mediation on Kashmir when our Prime Minister Imran Khan went there in 2019. So, and he is not a cold warrior. He is not going to be an interventionist. And he's not going to start wars. In fact, I hope and expect he will stop wars. So that is also a big change in the United States of America, which has been the forefront of militarization of international relations under Biden, under Obama, under Bush. We can see winds of change in that respect. The third important change in the world order is that this is now a multipolar world order where major regional groupings are emerging with the rise of the Asian century, with the emergence of the global south, and with the peaceful rise of China. And in our region, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, BRICS, other areas are there. And you can see that even in global trading patterns also. Out of 193 members of the United Nations, 130 countries have more trade with China than they have with the USA. Out of the 193 countries in the United Nations, 68 countries have said they want to do trading not in the US dollar, but in reals, in rupees, in rand, in rubles, in RMB. So this is a very important change that is taking place. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk of Tufan al-Aqsa, I would first like to pay tribute to the martyrs who have been fighting against Zionism and imperialism. Martyrs like Ismail Hania, Yahya Sinwar, Sayyid Hassan Nasrullah, and others. And I think we salute them because they resisted the brute might of imperialism and Zionism, both Hamas and Hezbollah. And when we talk of October 7th, 2023, I'm reminded of 2 other major events in the last 50 years in October, which have changed and altered the geopolitical landscape for the Muslim world. October 6th, 1973, the Ramazan War. led by Syria and Egypt, for the liberation of the occupied territories under the great Hafiz al-Assad. And now his son is Bashar al-Assad. They are strong leaders. And I had the honor of meeting the great leader, Hafiz al-Assad. And in that war, the Ramazan war, where the myth of Israeli invincibility was first shattered, 6th of October 1973, Pakistan had the honor of sending its pilots to fly with the Syrian Air Force, and we shot down 4 Israeli planes, led by Group Captain Sattar Alvi, mashallah. So, you please invite him and she, yes, looking forward to that. Look forward to that. No. But yeah, this is solidarity. And then, again, on 7th October 2001, George Bush launched the so-called war on terror, the invasion of and occupation of Afghanistan. 7th October 2001. So now we can see the three of this interesting, and that also led to the defeat of the United States, because after spending $2.2 trillion in Afghanistan in 20 years, which means $100 million a day for 20 years, they ousted the Taliban and then they negotiated with the Taliban to give them back the power after 20 years. So you can see that how much losses were there, and they, in that period, 80,000 bombs, drones and missiles were thrown on Afghanistan and parts of Pakistan also, Fatah area. Ladies and gentlemen, before Tufan al-Aqsa, what was the scenario like? I'll just give you 3 events separate. On 22nd of September 2023, Netanyahu, who is the arch war criminal, he went to the United Nations and he gave a map, the new Middle East, where he said the Palestine issue is dead. It's finished. No reference to Palestine. On 22nd of September at the G20 summit in New Delhi, Biden and Modi announced IMAC, India, Middle East, European Union corridor, which is thankfully buried in the rubble of Gaza now, with their talk of bringing Israel into the South Asian region of Middle East. And the third one was on 27th of September 2023, Jake Sullivan, who is the National Security Advisor of Biden, he wrote an article in Foreign Affairs. And he said, and I quote from the article, 27th of September, the Middle East has never been so tranquil, so peaceful, so calm before as today. Everything is fine, everything is settled. And Tufan al-Aqsa blew up this so-called order that was being implemented. That reminds me of a Quranic saying, وَمَكْرُوا وَمَكْرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ الْخَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. They planned, the Almighty planned, and verily the Almighty is the best of the planners. So ladies and gentlemen, when we speak today of the world order, where do we go from here? I would like to give some specific proposals, because this is an important seminar. We are talking of the battle of ideas also, battle of narratives. What can be done? I think a very important meeting is going to take place on 11th of November in Riyadh, the Arab League OIC Joint Summit. And I would like to first start with an appeal that to the host of the summit, His Excellency the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, that this is a historic opportunity. We are at a crossroads, and he should follow the example of his great uncle, King Faisal Shahid, who stood up to Israel and who during the 1973 Arab-Israeli war imposed an oil embargo on the United States to punish the supporters of Israel. That is what Saudi Arabia did under King Faisal Shahid, who was a very dabang leader, and then he hosted, along with Mr. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the Islamic Summit in Lahore, where for the first time, the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, under Yasser Arafat, was accorded the recognition as the sole legitimate representative of the people of Palestine. So I hope that Mr. MBS, His Highness MBS, Prime Minister MBS, tries to at least rise to the occasion and show leadership, because people are disappointed with the OIC. They say the OIC, that means there's nothing happening. 57 countries. Muslim countries have affluence, oil, money, everything, but no influence. So what is the reason for that? So I would say 5 suggestions of mine. Pakistan, please take a note of that. You are a good diplomatic correspondent, Don. I know your reporting is excellent. Number 1, the OIC should convene an international leaders delegation which should go and meet President-elect Trump with 1-point agenda. Stop this genocide, otherwise relations between the United States and the Muslim countries, and they should also include global South leaders. South Africa, Brazil, Ireland and Norway also, because they have recognized the state of Palestine. So it should be not just, because a Palestine issue is not just a Muslim issue, it's an issue of humanity. And in fact, people in America, people in Europe, people in South Africa, people in other places also have spoken up. So an international leaders delegation should be announced, and they should go and meet wherever Trump is, probably in Florida, not in Washington, but they should go and meet him and at least convey this thing. Number 1. Number 2, there are 3 Muslim countries which have a very strong navy: Pakistan, Turkey, and Indonesia. We should form an international humanitarian flotilla of the 3 navies with the backing of the United Nations General Assembly, and say that we want to break the blockade of Gaza, carrying with them not arms, but humanitarian supplies, medicines, food. 500,000 people of Gaza are today surrounded. On one side by the Rafah crossing, the ground area, other side by the sea. They should at least set of the 3 big countries. And I know the president of Indonesia, the new president, Subianto Prabowo, is also a strong Dewan leader. And Pakistan also is a strong and important country. And of course, Turkey is also there. They should do that. Third, there was a suggestion made in 2019 that there should be some, between Erdogan and Dr. Mahathir, that there should be some international Muslim consortium on the battle of ideas, on media and think tanks, and have a common narrative. And they had a summit in Kuala Lumpur also, hosted by Dr. Mahathir. Dr. Anwar Ibrahim recently was in Pakistan, the Prime Minister of Malaysia. His worldview is similar to Dr. Mahathir. And he's very strong on the issue of Palestine. He's already asked for the expulsion of Israel from the UN. So I think that can be included. And this should be there as the battle of ideas and battle of narratives, because we've seen the Western media on the issue of Palestine have been lying, have been showing hypocrisy and double standards. And I think our narrative should be there. There are individual channels, TRT, Press TV, Al Jazeera, Russia Today, CGTN, but I think there should be a combined effort, intellectually, scholarly, others. The best minds and the global South should get together in this battle of ideas, the battle of narratives. The 4th suggestion of mine is that immediately at the OIC summit in Riyadh on 11th of November should announce a Palestine Reconstruction Fund for the reconstruction of Palestine and Lebanon. And finally, the 5th suggestion would be that we should also call in the OIC summit on 11th that there should be a Nuremberg-style international war crimes tribunal against the state terrorism of Israel, which it has perpetrated against 5 countries: Palestine, Lebanon, Iran, Iraq, Syria, bombing and aggression. And this should, especially the military and political leadership of Israel, should be put in the dock. And this should be announced together with a fund for war reparations to the victims of the genocide in Gaza. Because this is the first televised genocide in history, organized genocide, killing of children, killing of women, killing of civilians, including hundreds of journalists, hundreds of doctors. So these are crimes that should not go unpunished. 70 years out of the Holocaust in Europe, which we condemn. the crimes committed by the Christians of Europe against the Jews of Europe. The Christians of Europe committed those crimes against the Jews of Europe during World War II. We condemn that. Because for us, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, there's no difference. We condemn any kind of bigotry and malice. But this crime is being actively perpetrated before the eyes of the entire world, and it should not go unpunished. And I hope that the Muslim countries will rise to the occasion. There are 57 of them. Only one country has demonstrated that strength. Iran, I commend the leadership of Iran, especially the Rahbar, Sayyid Ali Khamenei, who is a great friend of Pakistan. And he's also a great admirer and expert on the great poet of the East, Allama Iqbal. Because when he came here, he gave a 1 hour-long lecture on Iqbal. And so we say that this should be an effort. The moment is there. And as the Latin saying goes, carpe diem, seize the moment. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mushahid. I think we're kind of running out of time. Bakit is here another session. So I'll just make a few concluding remarks and then we can discuss over tea. Are you offering people tea? Okay. So thank you, Mushahid, especially your proactive suggestions. They're really good, but my fear is that given the over 1 year total lethargy on the part of the Muslim world, which is seeing a genocide taking place before its eyes and not even daring those Muslim countries who have relations with rogue entity, Israel, because I refuse to call Israel a state, it's a rogue entity. They're not even breaking diplomatic relations. So the hope that the OIC will do something, it will be a miracle, but one can hope for miracles. After all, Donald Trump's re-election is also a miracle in a way. But the genocide that is being perpetrated, and it's going live in everybody's homes, on social media, on the media, and nobody is prepared to do anything. Especially the Muslims. It's heartbreaking. Anyhow, what it denotes is that what has been happening since 9/11, and that is the erosion of all international law. Powerful states who made statements to commit themselves to international law and human rights, and the much touted R2P, the responsibility to protect, which was forced on the UN. Zamir is sitting here, by the Western countries, especially the Scandinavian countries. I remember there was a big debate and they said, no, there must be a right to responsibility to protect. So we must intervene where we see genocide happening. This was in the aftermath of Rwanda, I remember. Where is that R2P? Where is it gone? For over a year, we're seeing a genocide. Where is R2P? Gone. It doesn't exist anymore because now the West, especially the US, Canada, of all the countries, has suddenly discovered a new militarization. If you look at Trudeau's statements even now, just yesterday he spoke somewhere about the military might in how Canada must abet militarily Ukraine, etc. The UK, we know, will do whatever the US tells it to do. European countries, all of them, if you see them, they're part of the perpetration of this Palestine genocide. It's not that they're allowing Israel to do it. They are part of the genocide. They are supplying the weapon systems that enable Israel to slaughter Palestinians, to attack at Lebanon, to bomb Syria, to attack Iran, and heaven knows where else they may decide to attack. Who will stop them? Iran is the only country who has taken a principled position and at least responded for the rest of the Muslim world with all the military equipment that they buy, all the sophisticated equipment that they have, the Arab countries, Pakistan too. Yes, there was a time when the Pakistani jets flew with the Syrian Air Force. What are we doing now? Mumbling. Occasionally the Foreign Office gives 1 or 2 statements. I'm afraid given Pakistan's past record, which was very strong, where we stand now is shameful. We are not able to do anything. What is your military might? What use is the economic power of the Arab world if they cannot protect the fellow Muslims, the Palestinians, if they can't protect other Muslim countries who are being attacked by this rogue entity, Israel? That is the question basically. We have now seen that the whole facade of global commitment to humanitarian values stands in ruin. This is the new world order is not at a crossroad. It is finished. There is no world order anymore. It's a free for all for the powerful to do as they please. And I want to say it didn't happen overnight because the Israelis' abuse of the Palestinians in the occupied territories, and remember, Palestine is recognized as an occupied territory, so it's subject to the Fourth Geneva Convention and all the rules. And one of the rules is you cannot take people from the occupied territory and put them in prisons in the occupying territory. This is what India has been doing in occupied Kashmir, and this is what the Israelis have been doing from day one, taking Palestinians from the occupied territories and putting them into Israeli jails. This itself has been illegal. So the occupation by Israel has been in violation of all international laws, especially the Fourth Geneva Convention. And what I also want to say is that it was post 9/11 that the world order started crumbling, where militarization started replacing humanitarian values, where we saw the so-called war on terror, where the Americans decided to bomb the hell out of Afghanistan, although no Afghan or Pakistani was involved in 9/11. But they decided they didn't want to upset the people from where those actual perpetrators of 9/11 came. They were powerful allies, so bomb the poor Afghans and bomb Pakistan in the process, even though we were supposed to be their ally. And as the militarization has grown in the world, what we are seeing is that the states of the world stand united in what is clearly the age of terror by the powerful and fear of the powerful. What we are seeing is an erosion of democracy and democratic norms. Nobody's bothered anywhere. If there is no democracy in any part of the world, who gives a damn? The Biden administration doesn't give a damn. You think the EU gives a damn or the British have given a damn? No. The British themselves have taken measures which are anti-democratic. Germany outlawing Palestinian protests is anti-democratic. So it's the era of the fading of democratic values, democratic norms. And we've also seen militarization increasing. We see NATO now on the borders of Russia, on Russia's doorstep. And we see this the mad arming of Ukraine so that the war continues. They know that Russia will not lose the war, but they will continue to weaken Russia, kill innocent people rather than have a dialogue and rather than have Zelensky come to the dialogue table. Perhaps Donald Trump, who has been opposed to NATO's arming of Ukraine, who has opposed the war in Ukraine, will actually move to at least stop that war in Ukraine. And the covert aid that has been given in military terms, there are many countries who I don't want to go into because I value my freedom also for a little while. But the whole world knows. And it's not just NATO that's spreading its geographical military parameters. Mushahid, you mentioned the map. I think you mentioned that.
New Middle East.
But before that, there was another map, Black Borders, Ralph Peters and the Armed Forces Journal, where they wanted to break up Iran, create an Arab Shia state, as they called it. They wanted to break up all the powerful Muslim countries and reduce them to tiny little enclaves, and that also included the greater Israeli map. And very few people paid attention to it. Some of us kept talking about Black Borders in the map, but unfortunately, the power of the Americans and their so-called war on terror overpowered this map. But I think it's well worth looking at that map again also, because it also touches on the borders of Pakistan. We've also seen the establishment of the Quad, which comprises the US, Australia, India, Japan. It began as a quadrilateral security dialogue and then became permanent in 2017 as a strategic grouping just to target China. And then we have AUKUS, Australia, UK, and the USA, another military alliance which was set up in 2021 as a trilateral security partnership. And now in March this year, we saw that Japan is also seeking membership of AUKUS, as Japan's militarization is also now beginning. That whole limitation on Japan building its military has gone. It went under the late Abe, and that is continuing. Japan is moving to produce its own weapon system. It has a huge missile program, peaceful nuclear program, but it has the largest fast breeder program in the world. So if it wants to go nuclear, it can literally go nuclear overnight, Japan. People don't realize this, but this is happening there. Therefore, given this new militarization, it's not surprising that even the fig leaf of a democratic agenda has been removed from the priorities of the self-proclaimed champions of democracy. The centrality of human rights has all but disappeared. And this is, again, has been highlighted most vividly and most truly by what is happening in Gaza and now in Lebanon also, which is basically the slaughtering of Palestinians, the genocide, which everybody in the West, governments at least, are party to at one level or another, except for a few states like Spain, which has banned exports of weapon systems. The Irish, who have always had a different stance from the rest of the EU, but by and large, other states have big question marks on their agenda. What is more shameful is that whereas non-Muslim countries of the South, like South Africa, Latin American countries, have taken strong positions against the rogue entity Israel's genocide, I want to again say the most shameful part is that the OIC and the Arab world and the Muslim states, by and large, have been dithering. I don't know what they're so scared of, but they have shamefully failed to take any humane, strong position. I mean, at least break relations with Israel, for heaven's sakes. Why is no Muslim country prepared to break its diplomatic relations with Israel? And the only people, ironically, in the West who have exposed all this hypocrisy and facade of human rights are the people in countries like London, Germany, France, huge demonstrations, unlike in the Muslim world. Where are the big demonstrations in the Muslim world? There are some in Pakistan. Every time there's a demonstration, Senator Mushahid keeps getting arrested.
I organized the first demonstration on 7th.
Yeah. But you were lucky they didn't arrest you, because this in Pakistan is very difficult. In London, thousands marched in front of the American embassy. There were no arrests. Nobody was arrested on charges of terrorism. But here, if you were planning to protest out the American embassy, what happens? You're arrested and charged with terrorism. This is the state of the Muslim countries when people want to speak up against the genocide that the rogue entity is doing, unfortunately. And in fact, so I just want to conclude, yes, Shahid, I totally agree that there is a multipolar world and that there are options and alternatives, but unfortunately that multipolarity from the other side is not coming out as strongly. And again, the shame again lies with the Muslim world, and there's no crossroad anymore. The world order is destroyed, so it really is total anarchy and a free for all. I just want to come to Pakistan because we are here. This is our country, and we should realize that the impact of what is happening is not far away anymore. After the attack on Iran, the impact is looming closer. Because if the Iran and rogue entity Israel conflict expands, then Pakistan willy-nilly will get locked into this conflict. And then what will happen? We're looking so much towards internal political vacillations and a reign of political terror that we're not taking cognizance of what is happening regionally and the global shifts around us. So my big question for Pakistan is, if the conflict expands towards our region, Iran and the neighborhood, and if the US asks for listing posts or bases will we allow ourselves to get dragged in again? But this is a question that needs to be asked. We hope not. We hope not. But, and of course, then we have the Trump presidency. I think the Trump presidency will impact Pakistan as it will impact the rest of the world. His first statements have been encouraging on Iran. And if what is reported is correct, that he has said he's not interested in regime change in Iran and the Iranian people should decide for themselves. I think coming from Trump, that's a big shift in his approach to Iran. Since he was rather obsessive about Iran during his first presidency, he destroyed the nuclear arrangement, the JCPOA. So, this is a major shift coming from him. I'm wondering what will happen to the State Department Donald rules if Trump has clearly stated he's opposed to regime change. Just a question: what will happen to Donald Trump and all his various supporters in and around our Foreign Office bureaucracy, etc., and beyond the Foreign Office bureaucracy? These are questions we need to be alerted to. And yes, the 11th November conference of the Arab League and the OIC, if it is to have any meaning, should move definitively to take some action, yes, on your active plan. Because if they're just going to again pass diplomatic, if they're going to just pass the diplomatic condemnations, then it's a waste of money and resources. There's no point having these conferences if nothing. And why can we not have a Muslim peacekeeping force? Why is it so difficult for us to have a Muslim peacekeeping force? That should be another option that should be examined. It's time to do that.
Global South peacekeeping force. South Africa, Brazil.
I think that will be much more productive and more feasible.
Yes, I think.
The Global South may come together, but the OIC ain't going to move by the look of things. But thank you very much for everyone for your participation, and especially our speakers. And we hope that by speaking regularly on this issue, we can at least, if not move anyone else, at least move our own people and our own government, for heaven's sake, to reclaim the space Pakistan had on issues like Palestine. We've lost that space. Why? Now that we're a nuclear power, we are shivering that we must not upset the US. Why? What is this obsession?
People are not shivering.
No, the people don't make the decisions, unfortunately. Why this obsessive fear of America? Please get over it. Thank you very much, everyone.
Distinguished participants and excellent.
Syrian Ambassador wants to say the final.
Okay, sure.
Thank you again. But just only I want to mention about some points. All of us know Syria faces a terrorist group from Daesh and Tahrir al-Sham and other Jabhat al-Nusra. It started this crisis from 2011, what they call Arab Spring. This is not Arab Spring, of course. This is the new Middle East when they start again speak about that. And Syria, the victims. And we continue for our ones more than 10 years. And up till now also, we did our best just only to stop this new Middle East. Of course, thanks for our people. The Syrian people support our president, His Excellency Dr. Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian army, and the allies, the positive stance for other brotherly countries, Pakistan and others. Of course, Syria now and up till now, also we face many troubles and problems about the sanctions, illegal sanctions, which imposed by the Western countries and the United States, and this is made our people are suffering every day. Our people, the civilians people are very suffering, all the people are suffering, Syria are suffering, and we hope also just only to say, this is good occasion to say, stop and lift sanctions on Syria. And up till now, although all the circumstances now from 2011 up till now, we are facing terrorists, we fight terrorists, and we continue about that for our support for the Palestinian people, for the Lebanese, for our brothers also in Iran, in Arab countries. But at the same time, we have some more inside our territory. And also another one more, there is one territory from Syria up till now, from the north of Syria, it is under the occupation of America. Unfortunately to say that, but they take and steal our oil every day, just only it is very against the international law, against the United Nations principle, and although all these circumstances, alhamdulillah, we try to do our best as the Syrian leadership and the government of Syria to deal with these circumstances, just only to provide our people what they want, and we continue to protect our land and hope, inshallah, as all the speakers mentioned about that, we will prepare our lands, our total lands, Masjid al-Aqsa, roads, and all these things. And inshallah, we will keep in touch about that. We should be one hand again and again, just only to stop this genocide against the people of Palestine in Lebanon and the aggression against the neighboring countries, especially for Syria or Iran. Thank you very much again.
Thank you so much, all the dignitaries and excellencies, for your time and valuable contribution.